Jason's gone, I understand.
Right? It's way too complex.
All we're trying to do is
last
follow the
week,
rules.
at that time, Steve.
And they're not even.
Sit here.
On.
Nothing major happened.
Call the Mars City Council regular meeting to order, Tuesday, July 1st, 12 p.m. Would you please stand with me and pledge allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Motion.
We have roll call.
Agenda? Oh, got a roll call.
Nelson?
Yes.
Knapp?
Yep.
Recklinko?
Yes.
Goodchild?
Yes.
Gerke?
Yes,
Motion to approve the agenda.
second.
Motion been made and second to approve the agenda today. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Going to be our general discussion. The way we handle our general discussion is anybody got any complaints, concerns, anything good to say about the city of Lamar's? We ask them to step to the podium and state their name and address. The council cannot make any decisions on the particular topic, but they're always willing to listen. So this time, if anybody has any concerns. Yes, sir.
Hello, folks. My name's Terry Frericks. I live at 301 4th Street, Southwest here in Lamar's, down by the tracks there. A while back I came and I've been having flooding problems in my basement. They dug the ditch closer to my foundation, and a while back they came and said it's my foundation, it's not the ditch that's flooding. You know, I've had it flooded 5 times in the last 6 years, and for 3 other generations it never flooded. They say the ditch ain't the problem. I say the ditch is. It's inadequate drainage underneath 4th Street. I lost a furnace and water heater again 2 weeks ago Thursday. I didn't have it replaced, but then Friday night this week, I had 2 foot of water in my basement again, so I would have lost another furnace and water heater if I would have had the money to replace the other ones. That'll be the 3rd and 4th one. It keeps happening. They took that railroad crossing out to benefit the town of Lamar's down in the business area. Fine. But my property is uninhabitable. Reoccurring moisture, mold, damage done. That has wrecked my property. Mr. Langle doesn't seem to think so, but Mr. Langle has made some mistakes in the past, and I think he made a mistake here. And I'm pretty upset. It's not my, he said I needed an eaves trough on the back. Well, I had one on there for 3 years. The wind blew it off last year, but I was still getting water in the basement. He said I should raise my house a block. I didn't have to for 80 years, and now I got to. That ditch has wrecked my house. I wish the city would, your attorney says I should get a lawyer if I feel bad. I don't think I need a lawyer. It's pretty obvious. My piece of property has been sacrificed. And I don't know. I haven't had no renters there, so I'm going to lose it on foreclosure because I can't afford the payments. They messed with my whole lot. They need a bigger drainage ditch down the end down there, and that's been the answer for the whole last 30 years. And now I'm out a house. I almost had it paid off. I could have rented it out for 20 years. That's lost income. I'd like to know what you guys think I should do.
Terry, let me share something with you, if I might. I mean, I know we appreciate your concern. We did not take that complaint lightly. If you'll recall, 6 months ago or whenever you were up here for the same issue, we said we would come out and take a look at it. Myself, Scott Langle, and our attorney, Joe, went out and we went through the whole program. Remember, we went down in your basement. We looked at your place. And one thing we thought maybe the culvert going under your street, under the street there on 4th Avenue was maybe plugging or something like that. We've attempted to keep that open at all times.
That's the wrong answer.
Since we visited with you. Also, when we got back, our attorney sent you a letter stating that we don't feel the city's at fault on this program, that we suggested if you want to get an attorney, that's your option. And that's where we're at today in this project.
Okay, you don't think that ditch is causing the flooding in my basement?
We don't, no.
For 80 years, it didn't do it.
Now, wait a minute.
And now it is.
Now, wait a minute, let me finish. Number one, I think it's the railroad property.
But you guys tore
I
the
don't
ditch.
think it's...
The city tore the ditch out.
That's fine, but I think it's railroad property. Now, we suggested to you to contact the railroad. Remember that?
They told, yeah, my ex did contact the railroad, and they told us, you're the
Okay.
ones that dug it out.
Well, that's where we're at today. That's our stance on it, okay? So it's up to you to make the next move, what you want to do.
I want you to buy my property that
We
you're
ain't gonna
at.
buy your property today,
Okay.
okay?
And you suggest I get an attorney then?
That's my saying.
Well,
If that's the way
I
you
tried to
feel
get a
about
hold
it.
of one, and they wanted money. If
And you
anybody
want
out
to.
there is an attorney and would like to help me with this, you know my address.
Okay, thanks a lot, Terry, we appreciate it. Okay, let's move on. Any further business, that anybody has anything? Mike?
I'm Mike Donlin. Sometimes I'm the administrator at the hospital, but today I'm here as one of our citizens that sits on the board of Lamar's Area Dialysis Services. I wanted to provide a piece of an update without taking a lot of your time or actually climbing on the agenda. But a couple of weeks ago, my fellow board members and I, in taking a look at the finances of the dialysis project, realized that we could continue to pay back the loan that the city of Lamar's made at, gosh, how many years ago at their capital campaign. On behalf of the rest of our citizens, the council decided to loan us $200,000 at no interest, and the payments were set to be spaced out through 2016. Well, I'm here to provide the last payment of $50,000 that was due in 2016 to you here today. And on behalf of our board and those 14 or 15 patients that are getting dialysis right now, we renew our gratitude to you all in the city for helping get that show on the road, because it's running fine, and people should be proud of it. So I guess I got to sign this.
Yay.
Great news. Check's not in the mail, it's in Bill's hand.
Even better.
Maybe had water in your basement.
Mike?
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
I just want to share on behalf of the city. I remember very vividly when I think there was 2 council members went out there and visited with you about the loan with the approval of all of them. And I believe that was 2 years ago, I think it was. 2, or maybe 3. Maybe 3. But at that time, you people were really managing that place hard. I mean, you went through some real challenges to get that or provide this dialysis program for the city of Lamar's. And on behalf of the council and the citizens, I want to thank you, Mike, for the job you and your board of directors have done in turning that around. And I've heard many compliments on the people that have to go there every week rather than to drive out of town under the circumstances.
4 or 5 jobs.
Yeah, and he brought 4 or 5 jobs to town, and we want to thank you for what you've done, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, is there anything else? Shipper, you got something?
I got one thing, and I got to give credit where credit's due. We had a little fire on Sunday, and as we're trying to get through town in some intersections, there's a gentleman on his motorcycle, Clark Goodchild, sitting at 12th Street and Highway 75, and he sees us coming from behind him, approaching, and he stayed put and allowed us to get around on the left-hand side of him. We always say the code says to stop or pull to the right and stop. And sometimes folks get a little confused at intersections. If you're at a stoplight intersection, the best thing you can do is just stop. just stay stopped and let the emergency vehicles around you. And I know Clark was getting some air horns from the cars behind him that didn't realize why he was sitting there on his motorcycle. But I wanted to give him credit for that publicly, thumbs up type thing, and just remind the citizens to pull the right and yield and stop. Or if you're at a traffic light intersection, just stay put and let the emergency vehicles through as happened for us on Sunday. So thanks.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate
Probably
that.
lost 2 or 3 clients.
Well, you're representing this council well, Clark, I'll tell you that. Okay, moving on. Thumbs up or John?
Thumbs up to everybody who made Ice Cream Days in 2014 a real success. Lots of people, and I think everybody enjoyed themselves.
Yep, ditto on that. A lot of volunteers put a lot of time in to make those things happen, and it is really appreciated by a lot of people. And I'm quite certain, I don't even understand the amount of hours that go into that, so you bet. You bet.
That was mine too, so.
I'll pass, I can't add to those.
Just hats off to the city crews that keep fighting the water problems, and it's a thankless job. Was out on the trail Saturday and managed to get through, and not going to try it again real soon. But it's a thankless job, and it's just unfortunate we keep getting rain.
Well, we're keeping working through it, so that's all we can do.
No fire issues though for the 4th of July, so.
I do too want to emphasize the Ice Cream Days Parade. It's amazing what the sun will do for that program, but I've never seen, I don't really feel ever seen that many people in this town at one time this last year. I realize the floats were down just a little bit, but the people were there, and we really appreciate all the volunteers and even our staff within our administrative people here, the time they put in. Okay, going to consent items. All items listed under consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a request is made prior to the time the council votes on the motion. Today, we have 4 of them. Approval of the June 17th, 2014 regular meeting minutes. Number 2 is a list of bills of the period ending 6/30/14. Number 3 is a certification of the municipality utility liens resolution. And number 4 is a request to close streets and parking lot or scoop the loop. Does any council member have anything they would like to pull?
Motion to approve consent items 1 through 4.
Is there a second? Motion been made to approve the consent items 1 through 4. Could we have a roll call on that, Beth?
Erke?
Yes.
Mark Central?
Yes.
Knapp?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Goodchild?
Motion passed. Moving on to the action items. Sidewalk regulations ordinance. At the June 17th meeting, the council approved the first reading of the ordinance to specifically address sidewalk liability in the Code of Ordinances. A review of similar Iowa communities showed that sidewalk liability is specifically addressed in their Code of Ordinances. Staff is recommending that the liability section be added to the Lamar's Code of the Ordinances. Any questions on this? If not, I would entertain.
Joe, I got a
excuse
couple
me.
of questions, no
Yeah.
problem at all.
Excuse me.
I've been really rethinking this a little bit and going to take off where Ken was last week on it with fixed income people. If the city implements this change in ordinance, is the city still gonna have the ability or the duty, the right, or take upon themselves to go along and mark bad spots in the sidewalks? You know, if they come in front of my house and I've got some damaged sidewalk, the city is on one hand saying we want no part of the liability, yet they're taking liability by being the authority saying, Clark, you have to fix your sidewalk.
I assume, and that's more of an administrative question, but I'm assuming that they're going to continue to go around and say this bad, sidewalk's bad. I think as a property owner, which I am, I guess I would like to notice that, yeah, this is in need of repair. You know, so I think that'll continue to happen, I would expect.
But if we pass this ordinance, and I'm not into government regulation, but if we pass this sidewalk ordinance where we say we are not liable for any damages if somebody trips and falls, should we not also pass an ordinance that says you have to have property insurance? Because,
That's up to the property owner. If they have to realize that they're going to be liable. And I would imagine that they just need to talk to their insurance agent. I mean,
but wouldn't we still fall into the chain of liability? If I don't have any insurance on my property, and you slip and fall on my sidewalk, and you come after me, isn't the city automatically the next logical piece of onion skin you go after?
you go after everybody when you're a plaintiff's attorney. You just add every name that you can possibly think of. What this ordinance does is it greatly limits the liability of the city because you've put everybody on notice, the city is not liable. Unless, the city crews were out there and
Right, caused a problem, right.
dug up.
Right.
Yeah, or caused the problem. This was suggested to us by our current attorney who's handling a lawsuit on behalf of the city. He's got a lot of experience in this area he represents ICAP a lot. And he told us that this helps limit the amount of liability that cities face by having this in your ordinance, black and white. Property owner, it's your responsibility. Property owner, it's your liability. Now, again, does that mean that the city faces lawsuits all the time? And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're legitimate. But what can happen then, if you have an ordinance like this, you can go in front of the judge and you say, Judge, I want summary judgment. And, you're out in the beginning.
Let me ask you this, does it apply to bike trails on private property? And wouldn't it be the very same thing, and should we add that? Where if the bike trails run through my backyard, which is no different than the sidewalk running through my front yard, is the property, where's that bike trail covered under the city's, under this? How's that play?
And I don't know that I can answer that question today. It seems to remember that the bike trails were a different animal altogether.
From what I remember, the rec trails were an easement, and so if the easement was granted to the city to install the rec trail, then
There seems to be, off the top of my head, it seems to be just entirely different. We're talking sidewalks, we're talking,
Okay, I'm just curious, because, all right.
Just to clarify, I asked Jason the question similar to what you're asking, but particularly on 12th Street Southwest, where the city and the property owners came together and widened it for trail width. And he tells me that a separate contract was signed with all those, and that would cover the liability in that contract.
On the bike trails?
On the bike trail that's on private property.
Okay, I was just kind of curious about
So
that, because,
he clarified that for me anyhow, so.
all right.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion.
motion approving the second reading of ordinance number 921, adding section 136.18, liability to the Lamar's Code of Ordinances.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, approving the second reading of the ordinance 921, adding section 136.18, liability to the Lamar's Code of Ordinances. Could we have a roll call, Bev?
Nelson,
Yes.
Knapp,
Yes.
Goodchild,
Yes.
Perky,
Yes.
Rexling.
Yes.
Motion carried. Desired motion.
So we'll see if this works or not. Motion waiving the third reading of ordinance number 921, adding section 136.18, liability to the Lamar's Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and second, waiving the third reading of the ordinances 921, adding section code 136.18, liability to the codes of ordinances. All those in favor say aye. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Roll call.
Close enough.
Nelson,
No.
Goodchild,
No.
Knapp,
Yes.
Rexling,
Yes.
Perky.
Yes.
Motion carried.
No,
Doesn't-
four-fifths.
It's gotta be four-fifths, so we'll deal with that
Oh,
next
you're
meeting.
right.
And my no vote was to just give the citizens more time. If they're going to comment, I want them to have as much time as possible.
Okay. Okay, moving on. The next one is a water revenue loan and disbursement agreement. Distribution agreement. Come, I don't have that. City Council previously approved an issuance of $1,010,000 water revenue loan of the water meter change-out project for funding through the Drinking Water SRF Green Project Loan Forgiveness Program. The meter project is now essentially complete and has been financed internally. The city is ready to close the loan and draw down the funds. A resolution is needed to reauthorize the loan since it has been a couple of years since the resolution was approved. Recommendation to approve the issuance of the bonds. Do we have a motion on that?
Motion adopting resolution number 14-24, authorizing and approving a water revenue loan and disbursement agreement and providing for the issuance and securing the payment of $1,010,000 in water revenue bonds.
Second?
Motion been made and second. Adopting resolution, what was the number on that, 14?
24.
24, authorizing and approving a water revenue loan and distribution agreement and providing the issuance and securing of the payment of $1,010,000 water revenue bonds. Do we have a roll call on that, Bev?
Knapp,
Yep.
Nelson.
Yes.
Gerke.
Yes.
Rexbro.
Yes.
Sisram.
Yes.
Motion carried. Moving on to discussion. Bill, do you have anything, or John, do you have anything else?
Nothing.
Clark?
The only thing that I've got, and I'm gonna put a few things on hold because Scott and Jason are not here, but the one thing that I'd like to see, city staff maybe address is, I think the contractor that's running fiber optics, I've had some complaints, that they're taking some liberties that probably aren't theirs. I have literally had a few calls, but I'll give you personal testimony. They come driving a piece of equipment right across my yard without ever asking. It was because they wanted to not go 2 or 3 blocks out of the way to get on the easement that's there. I'm all in favor of improvement. I'm all in favor of helping them. I'm all in favor of them running this fiber, but I think they need to maybe step up their respect a little bit with private owners. I also had a citizen say to me that he went out there and was complaining a little bit to one of the crews about one of their particular activities at that time, and he says, hey, we can do whatever we want as long as we're on this easement. While he is correct that as long as they're in that right of way, they do have the authority or the ability to do what they need to do, that comment really told me that, you know, it's kind of like a the heck with you kind of attitude to the property owner, which I don't appreciate. So I'm wondering if maybe that contractor shouldn't be told, they need to be a little bit careful with some of the liberties they're taking, and in adding to that, a lot of it is seen in the way they, what I would say somewhat carelessly block traffic with their equipment, and it can cause kind of bottlenecks. So I think seriously, city staff needs to sit down with that contractor and say, let's clean up our act just a little bit.